Even when we're doing our due diligence to recycle, very little plastic can actually be used again.
But there is some serious scientific work going on at the UW to change that. Danica Lewis shares the story you'll only see on News 3 Now.
Almost everything we use is plastics.
It protects our produce, tops our juices, holds our lunch, keeps kind sentiments from floating away. It's wrapped around our beloved cheese. Even cheese that's wrapped is wrapped again. It's in our carts, in our clothes, the express checkout line sign. We can use all the reusable bags we want. But
it's impossible to go more than probably an hour without touching something that's plastic.
It's why Kevin Sanchez Rivera spends a lot of time in labs at UW-Madison.
Hopefully reduce that negative impact that plastic waste has had.
To make sure this durable yet undeniable staple of our lives isn't only used once.
The fact that they last forever can be it's a good thing, but it's also a very negative thing that we need to learn what to do with.
George Huber and his team have made it their mission to make the process of processing plastics more efficient. What makes this material so multi-purpose makes it tough to repurpose.
We never really want to solve these problems until we have to.
So here's the problem. Huber says 32% of the world's plastics go straight into the environment. 40% goes into landfills. 14% is incinerated or burned for energy. 4% is lost in the recycling process. That means only 10% of plastics out there are actually used to make something else, and most of them are downcycled into lower quality products.
And there's so much engineering that goes into making the plastic that makes them very complicated material. And then when we recycle them, they're all contaminated.
The way to deal with that contamination is by separating out each individual element in a plastic product.
Think about that 7-layer dip you'll bring to the Super Bowl party on Sunday. Sure, you can see all of the ingredients, but that doesn't mean you can use the sour cream or reuse the refried beans without getting some tomato or guacamole mixed in. Same goes when you're trying to make something new with plastics that have already been mixed together.
That's where Reed Van Lane comes in.
There's real demand from industry, from consumers, and from the government.
The biological engineer/chemist develops solvents to isolate different types of plastics in bags and bottles, everything, separating them so they're not contaminated. In layman's terms, he's orchestrating a kind of molecular dance to pull materials apart. Computer simulations help predict what could work.
A lot of that plastic that was previously used once now can be reused hundreds of times, thousands of times. And that's maybe a simple sounding change, but will be a dramatic improvement.
And despite the fact that plastics are complicated, Huber says the end goal is not.
My goal is to develop the technology that will revolutionize the plastic industry and develop the technology that will allow us to more efficiently recycle plastics.
Easy enough, or so we can hope.
So the team knows any process they come up with has to be affordable and accepted by industry partners to be successful. Well, they've already had some buy-in in the form of wrappers from an Appleton-based Amcor plant, ones that they can actually test out in the lab. And get this, Huber says some of these technologies could be implemented in the next few years.
Boy, smart guys. And you talk about research that's making a difference, right?
Making a huge difference. I mean, we're talking about changing the way plastics are actually processed and recycled.
And it's unavoidable.
Unavoidable. Yep.
Plastics are everywhere.
As George said, you can't go an hour without touching one. I believe there are many at this desk right here.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Floor crew liked the dip, by the way.
You're
Danica
welcome.
Lewis. Danica, thank you.
Sure.